Hi everyone, welcome back to Drizzle's Kitchen. Today we're making an ombre or a gradient cake. I'm using all the pinks because that's my favorite color, but you could do any colors you want. Ombre basically means you're going from darker colors to lighter color, but if you make a gradient cake, you could use any color you want. You could do a purple or a blue, anything. Basically, I'm going to be showing you how to merge color together so it looks nice and pleasing. I have a crumb-coated cake. You can watch my previous videos to see how we get to this stage. This is a blank canvas. This is what we call a blank canvas. And I'm going to be decorating this to become our pink ombre cake. This is straight out of the fridge. Basically what it means when I'm touching the top of the cake, it is nice and cold and I'm not getting any of my hands dirty. So you really need a chilled cake. So I have all my colors in the piping bags. I have an offset spatula and our bench scraper. You could always use a plastic one if you want. Just make sure it's nice and straight. We're gonna be starting with our darkest color. I have snipped off at least an inch of the piping bag. It does not really matter. You just need the piping bag to just have no nozzle and a straight off just snip it so you get some color out of it. There's no hard and fast rule for that. So I'm gonna be starting with my darkest shade and I'm gonna draw two lines. So I'm going to put my piping bag on an angle and away from the cake, and I'm gonna push some color and make a nice ring around the surface. If it breaks like that, don't worry too much. You just want the colors out. I'm gonna do another ring. Preferably, if you have a 6" 3 cake, which this is, you could do 2 rings each. It really depends on how you want your initial product to look. But putting your colors in piping bag is way easier than trying to put it only with a spatula. At least this is what we find in this kitchen. So we're gonna be putting our next color. It's a medium pink. I'm also going to do 2 rings of this. It's not perfect if you can see, and it doesn't have to be. We're just trying to have some gradient effect. The last color is a very, very pale pink. So we're going to do another 2, maybe 3 on this one. And it's not perfect. Again, you just need some color on your cake. And I'm gonna pipe a dollop on top as well. So take my offset spatula. Why is it offset? So you don't get fingers in your cake, and just smear around the first color on top. And just use your turntable to spin the cake around. Turntable is very important when you're icing any type of cake because it helps you. But today we're gonna be using our bench to scrape up the extra colors. And then I'm going to smear all these colors, just put a nice coat. And if you can notice, I'm not putting the same color on the next layer. I'm actually scraping it off, having a nice clean offset spatula, and also wiping it with some of the paper towel I have. Then I'm gonna be leveling the next color and just cleaning again, and doing the same with the last brightest color. Just placing the offset spatula on an angle and turning my table. So now all the colors are smooshed basically. All we need to get is a nice ombre effect. So for that, I'm going to clean my offset spatula again and just make a zigzag lines. What this does is make sure that we're not making a hard line here. We're actually blending the colors together. So this zigzag effect makes sure it's blending these 2 colors together. I'm gonna clean my spatula again and do it the same for the next 2 colors. Zigzag lines, and now we're gonna use our bench scraper to have the final. So I'm going to put my bench scraper on an angle, push it, and scrape. Now I'm not taking the color off, I'm just like putting it together. I'm gonna use the bench again, clean my scraper, and do it again until you are happy with how it looks. If you can see, they're not hard lines, they're actually blending together. That is why zigzag lines are really helpful. We always use our bench to scrape the color. You could always use a bowl. You don't have to use this method of cleaning the spatula, but we find it helpful. So now it's quite smooth, but if you can notice, we have lots of bubbles. So to fix that, I'm going to take my offset spatula again, and the reason why it's all separate is what we can use to fill in the hole. So if you see a hole, we're just gonna fill it in. Clean my spatula again. Take the darkest color, fill in the hole. Take the medium pink, fill in the hole. Okay. Now we're gonna take your bench scraper again and clean up the final cake. Also, you can see how important it is to have a blank canvas ready, a crumb coated cake ready for you to have your next design. Those things really help. You could use any colors you want. It does not have to be the same color and different shades. We do lots of variation in our shop. We do a blue and pink, like a teal blue and a pink versions as well. Now, our sides look great. They look absolutely amazing. Now what we have to work on is the top. If you can see, all this have risen up. The buttercream has risen up because we were smearing all the buttercream on the side, which helps because the next step is to only clean the top. We're going to take our bench scraper, put it a bit flat, and just scrape it off, like so. Because my cake is cold, it has also started to set, which helps because it's not, when I'm putting pressure on here, it's not ruining everything, just getting rid of the excess. Every time I'm gonna be cleaning my bench scraper because I don't want any third color coming into play. If you can see, I scrape it in the middle and I slowly lift off. I'm not pushing any of force, I'm not putting any force, I'm just smearing the buttercream. So I'm happy with how this looks. I'm going to clean the board. You could clean the board before you did the top, but any works. I'm going to take the bench scraper again and just clean the excess with the corner. Take a bit more paper towel and just clean the board. Having a clean board always makes your cake more presentable and neat. It's such a small change but makes such a huge difference on the overall presentation. If you can see, I'm scraping some buttercream off and some of it has lifted. So what I'm gonna do, how to fix that, is I'm going to take my spatula again and I'm going to just slowly put it all together. If you can tell, we are going from the darkest shade to a lighter medium to a palest pink. And it's not hard lines, it's actually blended through. So if you're using any color, it could be either 3 colors or 2 colors depending on the height of your cake. Just make sure you make the zigzag lines to merge those colors, and that would make sure that it's not just a hard line, it's actually going into a gradient effect or an ombre similar. For this tutorial, it is the end. Comment if you have any requests from me. For this cake, we're gonna be turning it into a drip cake in the next video. So thank you for watching. Hope you like it. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and see you on the next one. Bye.